human resource and majored in industrial psychology, right? Was it easy finding a job? What was it like after you graduated?
Yeah. So after my final year of undergrad, let me put this as a caveat, right? So people don't think it's just always been easy.
Okay.
Whilst I was at varsity and doing my undergrad, you know, at university, there's always these career days, right? And
Okay.
organizations come through and they pitch their story, come work for us, whatever. I was really attracted to this organization, Accenture, and applied to them 2 years in a row and always got rejected,
Okay.
right? So I was very bummed about that because I just felt like this is really, really where I wanted to work. So eventually in my final year of undergrad, our professor sends out a note to say, oh, there's a company looking for HR data capture or something like that.
Okay.
Something's, yeah. And I was like, well,
yeah.
let's get in. Let's actually start working. Let's gain experience. Let's gain exposure. And then let's take it from there.
Okay.
So in that 2 months, over like December, January, it was a 2-month internship. I worked for an IT consulting company and I was literally just a data capturer, right?
Okay.
But in that time, I ensured that I built networks, but built good relationships. When I had time off, I wasn't sitting and twiddling my thumb or asking whether I could go home early. I was actually going to other people and saying, do you need help with something?
right.
How can I help you? Da, 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 da. And so gained a lot more experience than just data capturing, to the point that at the end of those 2 months, they asked me to stay on full time.
Okay.
But because I had already signed up to do an honors degree, I said, unfortunately, can't do. And they actually wanted me to do part-time and work. And I was just like,
It's not going to work.
I just want to do a 1-year honors qualification and then leave from there. So that's how I kind of got into it. So I went back, did my honors. Straight after honors, they called me back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
They actually waited for you
Somewhat,
to get done.
yes. So by January, it was like, are you done now? And then I was like, yeah, I am. And so they were like, please come back. We've got this role for you, da, da, da. And that's kind of how I kickstarted my career. And then it's just kind of gone from one thing to another.
I actually really love the fact that you're very assertive in your decision, in that you're able to say, no, guys, this is a great offer, but I have planned this. Because I think most of the time people do get swayed away with offers because it's easy for people to change their plans to cater for the people offering them something. But I love that you're able to say, you know what, I've committed to do my honors. And even if you're saying I should do it part-time, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick to what I planned. And if you guys still want me, probably you're going to call. And they actually called. Because imagine if you put yourself in a part-time situation, then maybe you're failing or whatever because of issues and whatever.
Then you don't finish.
Yes, and then it's drama. No, I really love that you're very assertive with your career. And then now you are in, how is it? How is the work environment? Did you really love it? I know you don't get these questions because you're the ones that I usually
always asking. Did I enjoy my work environment? It was interesting. My first job, I had an administrator that was helping me.
Okay.
And it was interesting because I was thrust into a role where my boss was very hands-off and sometimes MIA.
Wow, okay. So basically you were technically the boss of yourself.
Of myself.
Yeah.
And I was thrown in the deep end, you know? So it was a little bit of like, what am I doing? How my boss was there maybe for the first 2-3 weeks or so, and then had to travel and do all these other things and just said, you'll manage, right? So I had to lead someone.
Okay.
In my first role, which was difficult because I'd never been in that position. But I do think because I'm the oldest of 4 girls at home,
you already had
I have some level of like, understanding of how to deal with people that are younger or whatever, right? The work environment was interesting. I had to deal with people who undermine you because of your age, right, in your first job. And then on top of that, my boss wasn't there half the time. And so the buck did stop with me. So whether they undermined me or not,
they had to hear from you.
Yeah. And I had to navigate that space consistently. So I enjoyed it because of like just being like the autonomy.
Yes.
I didn't have someone sitting
no micromanaging and all of that.
So I liked that because then I could do the things that I wanted to do it how I wanted to do it. build relationships. I was forced to build relationships with business and senior managers. I was forced to interview people that are 20 years my senior at that time. And, and that was my first job.
Sure.
So I learned a whole lot from that job. And I'm actually very grateful that I was thrown in the deep end, because I do think sometimes when you start off and someone's there and they're hand holding you, it makes it so difficult for you to just know what to do independently.
Sure.
So I do think how I started my career really set me up for
Success.
all the other roles, just knowing, how to deal with people, senior stakeholders, all of those things. So it was fantastic.
So at the start of your career, you're placed in a position where you have to lead a lot and all of that, right?
Yeah.
And probably there was a bit of pressure and so on. What are the tools that you use to keep yourself coping and growing and not fall apart?
I rested a lot.
Okay. You highly recommend rest.
I got home and I would just crash, right? So I remember vividly in my first career just trying to get a lot of sleep.
Okay.
But I was also motivated because a lot of my career was a base salary and commission.
Oh, okay.
And so I knew that the harder I work,
the more you make,
the more I'm able to make. And so in the first kind of 4 months of working of being in that role, I had enough saved up to buy my first car, right? And not cash, but like a deposit for my first car.
Deposit. Yes.
So that for me was motivating. And I guess there's no other responsibilities outside of just doing your job at that stage, right? You're not married, you don't have kids, you don't have all these other things that you're thinking about. So that's how I was able to cope. I rested quite a bit. I made sure over the weekends, like I spent time with friends, with family, and I think back then there wasn't this thing of take your laptop home and work at home.
Oh, yes.
Right? You have desktops and you kind of like when you leave the office, you leave the office.
Yes,
and
you have
everything
to finish
is there.
everything there. Okay.
Yeah. So it helped a lot.
I really love that. What I'm getting from your journey, your career journey, is that yes, it's great to apply and all of that, but I think it moves easier or smoothly when you are identified. Because looking at the fact that you did the internship, right? You did apply for the internship, but you were seen within that internship and you did your job well. So being given the opportunity to do the job, actually do it well, like VAC work, people must maximize on that.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Any opportunity that's been given to you, doesn't matter whether it's a month, 2 months, a week. You need to make sure that people remember who you are.
Sure.
Right? You need to make sure that people are thinking, how do we get that person back?
Okay.
And at the time, I don't think I was doing it intentionally, but because of how things played out, I realized, okay. Maybe me going out of my way to say, I'm done, I've got some free time, do you need help? Those are the kinds of things that you don't realize, but people like that. They like when people are proactive, when they take initiative, when they go out of their way to build a relationship with you. Like they love that stuff.
Okay.
And so because I saw how that worked, I then just continued doing that all of my career. And I promise you, sometimes it's the basic things that get you recognized. It's not about how technical you are and how much you know your theory of the work that you do, how smart you are. It's great. I've met a lot of smart people that are not personable, right? And I'd never want to work with them again. So yeah, your interpersonal and soft skills are crucial.
Okay. You said the word build relationships, I think at least 3 times.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's very important. So a person that is just like starting off their career, they're in university, how do they start off building relationships? And I know that it's easy for people to say, go on LinkedIn, attend workshops, but I don't think that's how you like just build relationships. Like if I was at a workshop and I wanted to build a relationship with you, how would you appreciate that I approach you?
If you were at a workshop.
Yes, or maybe, you know how these days there's a lot of events, like corporate events, and people use those to build relationships, to network. How would you want to be approached? And also, like, how does a person build a good, genuine relationship or a network?
Yeah. So if I were in that position, or let me explain what I do when I go to networking functions.
Yeah.
So when I go to networking functions, I sometimes have a sense of who are the people that are going to be there.
Okay.
Some places that you go to, whether it's conferences or whatever, they'll have a list of like the speakers or people that are coming. I generally go through that list and I see who's interesting. Like, who do I want to network with?
Okay.
Why do I want to network with them?
All right.
And then I go to their LinkedIn profile and I'm like,
okay.
who are
So
they? What
you're
do they
also
do?
like me.
Whatever.
I stalk a lot.
Yeah, stalk. And then I'll be like, okay, so these are the 3 people. I'll circle them. These are the 3 people I want to meet. Make sure I want to introduce myself. But if that's not the case and I'm going into a place that I don't know people, I'm generally a friendly person, right? So even though people say I look intimidated, I approach people, like I generally find someone that I know. And if they're in a circle of people I don't know, that's where I'll go. Like I'll go stand because I know Yvonne is there. Hey, how are you? Da-da. Hi guys, how are you? And then I'll like greet everyone else. Oh, what do you do? What do you? And then I start listening. I listen.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. So when I network, it's not about how much I can talk and how much I can tell people about myself, but it's about being the person that's asking the questions. So I ask a lot of questions, and through asking questions, I learn a lot about people. And I don't ask just about their profession, right? I ask about them. Oh, do you have kids? And oh, really? Okay. Oh my goodness, it must be tough having young kids doing this, doing that, whatever. So I become someone that's very personable. I am someone that's very personable. And I ask a lot of questions to people, right? And the aim with doing that is you can't be afraid of people. People are equally as afraid of coming to you to talk to you, right?
Sure.
So you can't think, you're the small person in the whole room and you're afraid to approach people. People are naturally afraid to just approach people they don't know.
Sure.
But you strike a conversation. If you guys get along, I make sure I leave with people's details.
Okay.
And when I leave with your details, then I'll either WhatsApp you or I'll message you on LinkedIn 2 or 3 days later to say, really loved chatting to you. I'd really love to pick this up again with you. Do you mind if we have a coffee, or do you mind if we have an online chat? You know what I mean?
Right.
So you need to be the person that's taking the initiative to actually go out and
so you actually are amenable to coffee. Like if a person meets you once and then they say, oh, hey, can we meet if you have time? And is it something that you're willing or open to?
So I do that only to people I feel like we had a great connection.
Okay.
So it's not just every single person, right? So I take details from someone that I feel like we had a great connection and the conversation was just flowing. And there's something that I want to learn from them a bit more. So that's when I'll ask for a coffee because there's something in specific, not just to sit with you. Can I have a coffee and continue talking? Talking about what?
Sure.
Right?
I hear you. Yeah. So you've worked for various big corporate companies that do different things, but mainly I think we see you there by LinkedIn and Instagram because of law firms, right? And so I'm sure you've interviewed many smart people, well-rounded individuals and all of that. What is that one thing that ticks you off about a person that ticks all the boxes? Like they're well-rounded, their CV looks great, but what is that one thing that people take for granted when they go to their interviews? Let's say every other thing has been ticked off, but you've noticed that this person is actually good enough, but there's just this one little thing that is amiss.
Arrogance.
Okay.
So I think what really puts me off is people that are arrogant, right? Especially those that come and they've ticked all the boxes and they know they've ticked all the boxes. A lot of people don't know the difference between being confident about your abilities and actually then bordering on just being arrogant, right? So, and that you can tell through someone's body language. You can tell through how they describe themselves. And some people become very like, you need me.
Oh, I
don't need you. So they get and they're like, yeah, obviously you can see on my CV. Like you ask them questions and they'll be like, yeah, but it's clear on my CV that I've done AB. That's the kind of stuff that just makes me feel like,
honey, go back home.
Man, how can we wrap this thing up?
I hear you.
Arrogance. I think people need to, yes, they're exceptional. Yes, they've done well. How they come across is important. They need to be able to sell themselves without making it seem like everything revolves around them.
All right. Yeah. So is there a way a person can train themselves not to do that? Because I think sometimes people unconsciously do it. Like, you see the whole thing of saying, obviously it's on my CV. You're probably not thinking it's counting you down. You're probably out there thinking, but it's obvious. But then is there something that a person who's at home can do to avoid that? Maybe, I don't know if they're training courses on how to sell yourself or anything along those lines. Because I don't think everybody deliberately presents themselves as arrogant. Yeah.
I think having a certain level of emotional intelligence helps you do that, right? So learn to read the room.
Okay.
When you've got people and they're a little bit stiff or they're a little bit uptight, there's no space for obviously kind of quotes, right? like read the room. When you come in and it's a panel interview, if people are a little bit more relaxed and informal and chitter-chatting and whatever, then now you can almost mimic the personalities of the people that are in the room, right?
Sure.
But if you get there and people are a bit stiff, just stay formal with everything. They asked you a question.
Answer it.
Answer the question.
Okay.
Don't refer back to your CV. Of course, they've seen your CV, but they're asking you for a very different reason.
Okay.
And from a recruiter's perspective, of course, I've seen your CV and that's why you're sitting in front of me.
Sure.
But now I'm asking you to tell me about yourself, which is in the CV. But the reason I'm asking you to tell me is because I don't know you. I don't know your personality. Your CV doesn't tell me personality.
Sure.
Right? It tells me just bullet points of things that I need to know. I'm asking you to walk me through it so that I can tell how you present yourself, whether you're confident, whether you're articulate, how you speak, how you break down where you've been, why you've been there, why you left, right? So I'm assessing so many things by just getting you to talk.
Sure. Okay.
Do you get what I mean? So it's not about I'm asking an obvious question. I want you to talk.
So it's actually very important to actually answer more, because it gives the person an opportunity to know you better or get your story clearer.
Yes.
Okay, love that.
And by answer more doesn't mean talk longer.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
It's not about babbling for the sake of talking, but it's about being coherent around how you tell your story in an interview.
Okay. Yeah. So basically an interview is like storytelling about who you are and probably where you want to go to.
Yes. Show your personality. Okay. If you're someone that is down to earth and say that in my spare time, this is what I love to do. This is show personality. That's why you're in the interview. Okay. Obviously we get to the technical questions much later, but in the beginning, it's mostly us trying to see your personality.
Okay. All right. What are 5 important things that a person must have in mind when they're preparing their CV?
Firstly, how it looks. So the format.
Sure.
Secondly, how it reads, right? Be mindful of what you put in your CV.
Okay.
Be mindful of spelling and grammar. Okay. Like, if I read the first 2 sentences and there's spelling mistakes, I don't want to read the rest.
It's chai. So you actually do put it aside and you're like, next.
Right? Okay. Unless there's something else that draws me on your CV, like you've got masters and whatever I'm looking for, then I'm like, okay, but these spelling mistakes, let me see them, but I've got a question mark on this person, right? And know your audience. So know who you've applied to and make sure you've tailored your CV for that place. Oh, okay. Too many people just create generic CVs and they throw the same CV everywhere.
Okay.
It's not necessarily a turn off, because if all the necessary information is there, that's great, but it doesn't make you stand out.
Oh, okay.
When you tailor it for us, when you tailor it for the organization, then I can see you've gone that extra mile to tailor it for the organization. Okay. You've highlighted your key strengths that match the strengths that we are looking for the role, so you almost make yourself just go further up in the pile by tailoring it. And lastly, CV preparation, I think really being able to articulate your story once again. People are bad at telling their story. They're very good at being able to just throw facts on a piece of paper, but they're not putting it in a way that gives you a sense of who they are.
Sure.
Do you get what I mean? So for instance, in a profile summary, someone will just give details that are already in the CV, but you're writing a short summary of the details, as opposed to actually starting it from a very personal perspective of what attracts you to this particular organization. What's that one thing that resonates about the organization that tells me a bit more about you as a person and your values and all of those things. So people are lazy to go the extra mile.
Okay.
And it's a competitive world out there. People need to be taking the time to go the extra mile.
Okay. So it's important to go the extra mile. So make your CVs. Know how to tell your story. Don't just throw in facts. Make it personal and intentional.
Yes.
Love that. And before we close, what are the 3 things, right, that a person needs to be aware of or needs to consider when they are preparing for an interview?
3 very killer, what's the word I'm looking for? So the 3 very important aspects that you need to know before you prepare. Know the company.
Okay.
Don't pitch up and you know nothing about the company. It's not going to do any favors for you.
Okay.
Right? The second thing, know your story. Once again, it's the 3rd time I'm saying know your story. Know your story and know how to tell it.
Okay.
Right? And the way you do that is knowing what the common interview questions are. You've practiced the common interview questions.
Okay.
And whatever you say resonates with what's in your CV, right? Don't have a different story to what your CV actually says about you. Then the last thing, relax.
Okay.
Be personable. Be yourself, right? We don't want a cookie cutter kind of person that is trying to be a version of who they think they should be, because there's too many of those types of people in most organizations, right? What's that one thing that's going to make you stand out? So make sure that you are selling yourself in terms of what your unique skill sets are. Show a bit of personality, right, in the interview as well. So know the company, know how to tell your story, and just calm down when you get there.
I just thought of another question.
Go for it. Go for it.
Is career coaching important? Because I know now I've seen a lot of people on LinkedIn career coach, but I'm not sure is it something important? Is it something that someone can consider? And also, while at it, after answering that, please do tell us about Get Corporate Ready. What do you do, and what are the benefits if a person wanted your services? How does it work? Yeah,
career coaching is a catalyst for your career. It's not a must-have. But if you're a driven person and you want to get somewhere, then definitely
go for it.
Have a mentor, have a career coach. The benefit of having a career coach is that you have the benefit of an objective view of where you are, what you're doing, where you're heading. A lot of times people are trying to navigate their careers on their own. And by navigating your career on your own, you don't see your blind spot, right? You don't see certain things about yourself that someone from the outside could tell you about. So a lot of times people will know what they're good at, but they won't know what they're not good at.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people will come and they have trouble with certain relationships in the workplace. And they just don't understand why this person is so difficult. But me, on the outside as a career coach, listening to the story, I can pick up where you are difficult. Do you get what I mean?
You get like constructive criticism.
You're getting someone that has an objective view of your shortcomings, where you're trying to get to, that can help guide you, right? So it's important that when you are with someone, be with someone that's actually gone down the road that you've gone. And I don't mean from a profession perspective. I just mean they're a lot more ahead than you. So if you are still a junior and you're wanting to be a manager, make sure you're speaking to someone that's been a manager for at least 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? So peer coaching,
it doesn't work.
That is not effective. But if you're trying to get to being an executive, speak to someone that sits on boards and has been an executive for 5-10 years, right? because those are the guys that are going to give you insight because they've walked the journey already. So I definitely think career coaching is absolutely important. And part of what we do at Get Corporate Ready is really career mentorship. And you know, the difference between coaching and mentorship, right? Mentorship is you coming and you want answers for something.
Yes.
Nah? Coaching is more, you want to express things that you are going through. The coach then facilitates certain questions to ask you so that you can come to your own conclusion around what the next step is, right? So coach almost sits, listens, observes, asks a lot of questions so that you can now deduce what the issue is or what you need to do next.
Okay.
A mentor is very much about, I want to get into this kind of career. How do I go about doing it? Okay. In terms of this career, this is what you need to do. This is where you need to go. I'd recommend you do this. Da, da, da. So a mentor speaks a lot more than what a coach does.
Okay.
Coaches, I think, are a lot more beneficial when you are kind of mid to senior
Okay.
range.
You have an idea of what's going on.
You've
what
been
you
in
need.
corporate for some time.
Sure.
You know what the challenges are. You know where you struggle. You know where it is you're wanting to go. That is where you have a coach, right?
Okay.
Mentorship is, I'm still in the beginning. I'm still trying to navigate. Where do I go?
Okay.
What do I do? Right?
Okay.
So those are some of the services that I do from a career mentorship perspective. Obviously, helping people understand and running workshops around CV, cover letter, interview preparation, personal branding. A lot of those workshops I run through corporates.
Okay.
So corporates will call me through and say, we're running an internship, we're running a vacation program, please come through, speak to our young people about ABCD.
Okay.
So just teaching soft skills, interpersonal skills that are absolutely necessary in the world of work, but also one-on-one training and coaching, mentorship for people that are still trying to get to where they need to be.
Okay. So you guys have a website, right? If a person wanted to get in, can they go through the website, DMs on Instagram? Where do they find you?
So Instagram is the main place that I'm at, with LinkedIn as well.
Okay.
On Instagram, I share a lot of tips. I've opened up a new page, Get Corporate Ready.
Yes, that's it.
That's where all the tips are. But if you want to contact me directly, then it's at Botlhale Paile. So I'm on there, and LinkedIn are the places that you can DM me.
Okay.
Website coming up soon. Still in progress.
Okay, love that.
So we'll definitely have a website soon.
Okay.
As well.
This was a very insightful conversation. I loved it a lot, and I also learned a couple of things. I am actually considering a career coach because we are learning, but we'll see in the future. In closing, what is the season of your life called in one sentence?
This season of my life. Trust in yourself.
Trust in yourself. Love, love, love that. Any words of encouragement to a person at home?
I think a lot of times there's an inner voice. You call it intuition, you call it whatever it is, your inner voice, right? Learn to listen to that throughout your career. I've been as successful as I've been in my corporate career because I learned to listen and to go with the flow of what felt right. Not what is the quickest thing to do, what is the easiest thing to do. So I think those of you that are sitting at home, you know what you're good at, you know what you're passionate about. Be the kind of person that's daring enough to go after the kinds of roles that resonate with you, that resonate with your strengths, not just about what's going to make me the most money. Because when you go after things that make you the most money, you're going to end up burning out, you're going to end up unfulfilled, and it's not worth it at the end of the day, right? But when you go after things that fulfill you, those are the times where it's like, it doesn't matter how long you're working because you love what you do, right? You go to work and you're actually happy to be at work. Why? Because you love what you do. So that for me has been the biggest lesson in my corporate career. Follow your intuition, follow who it is you are. if you feel like you're sitting at home and you don't know who you are, learn to listen to yourself. You know what I mean? So let your inner voice guide you throughout your career, and just be true to yourself. Yeah, don't try and please anyone. You're not living for anyone else outside of yourself.
Yeah.
So make sure that you are in alignment with who you are at every step of the way, and that's the only way that then you are able to be the best version of yourself for other people as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that. Love that. Very encouraging and inspiring. To everybody at home, I hope you enjoyed this episode and I hope you learned something. Do not forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. And always remember, you are not alone. You are gracefully anchored. Happy Employment Wednesdays. See you soon.